Morning, guys. Benjamin. Hey, I wanted to talk to you about one of my favorite topics. It's faithfulness. Years ago, I was watching the Super Bowl, and it was the five-time winning Patriots. They're led by Tom Brady, and they're facing a very unlikely opponent, the Philadelphia Eagles. And their quarterback was a backup quarterback named Nick Foles, the first stringer I got and busted up. And so it was his turn, and he took them all the way to the Super Bowl. You're thinking, Tom Brady's going to eat his lunch, what chance do they have? But by the end of the game, Nick Foles is on the platform being introduced as the MVP, Super Bowl winner, holding the trophy. And as they're interviewing him, the lady asks, like, whoever saw this coming? This is just really what a surprise. And I loved his response. Nick Foles looks at her and says, you might not know it, but me and most of these players have been running these plays since we were 5 years old. See, what she didn't know is he'd been preparing for this moment for 24 years. She thought it was a surprise. He said it's about time. Bible has a story that's really similar. It's a little shepherd boy named David. Every time I've heard this story, it's like, wow, thank the Lord that he showed up, because that little boy was going to get killed. What a lucky shot. But as you read the story of David in his life, you find out that his life was always surrounded by faithfulness. He was always faithful to whatever God called him to do, and he did it with excellence. When he gets interviewed by King Saul before the battle, the King Saul says, who in the world are you? And he says, well, you might not know me, but my name's David. And he says, you know what? I've killed the lion and I've killed the bear. Actually, with the lion, the Bible says that there was a lamb caught in his mouth, that David goes and pulls the lamb out of the lion's mouth as it turns to attack him, grabs him by the throat, and he beats him to death. That's just crazy. I think when he had spare time, he spent a lot of time throwing rocks, pitching rocks, one after another after another. There's a passage in the Bible, let me read it to you. It's Judges 20:16. It says this: among all the people, there were 700 select men who were left-handed. Everyone could sling a stone at a hair's breadth and not miss. And 1 Corinthians 4:2, it says this: moreover, it is required in stewards that a man be found faithful. Proverbs 28:1, the wicked flee when no one pursues, but the righteous are as bold as lions. Back in Bible times, the slingers were actually very, very respected. Alexander the Great, I hope I get this right, would actually hire them to go before them in battle. They could throw rocks at such a long distance that the archers couldn't touch them. And from a long distance, they could sit there and pick off the enemy. They'd actually write notes on the stones before they launch them to intimidate the enemy. It was said that they could throw the rocks so hard that they could actually shatter the helmet of a warrior. I think when David got ready to fight Goliath, he's like, you know what? I've been preparing for this moment my whole life. Goliath had no idea who he was up against, but David knew he'd prepared for this moment. So I want to challenge you wherever you're at. God's got a gifting, he's got a calling, he's got a purpose for your life. But he looks for faithful men and women that prepare, that get ready, that are found faithful to do what he's called them to do. I heard an interview years ago from Oral Hershiser. He was a professional baseball pitcher. He said, I threw the ball so many times throughout my lifetime that I mastered it. He said, when I held that ball, it was just a part of me. I just knew what was going to happen because I've done it again and again and again. And I think that's what God looks for. He looks for faithful servants. They prepared, they're ready, and they're just waiting for the call. So I want to encourage you, prepare, get ready, and before you know it, you're going to hear your name called. Blessings.